Good morning, dear students. How are you all? I hope you all are fine. As you know that in the previous videos we have done uncertainty in measurement, where we discussed scientific notations, significant figures and dimensional analysis. And today I am going to tell you about the laws of chemical combination of elements. So we have basically 5 laws of combination of elements to form compounds. We have 5 laws. From these 5 laws, you have already done 2 laws in your 9th class. So the first law is the law of conservation of mass, that you already done in your 9th class. So as we know that this law is established by scientist A.L. Lavoisier in 1789. In this law, in all physical and chemical changes, the total mass of the reactant is equal to that of the product. You can simply write that is the mass of the reactant is equal to the mass of the product. Okay, so this means that there will not be any increase or decrease in the mass during any physical or chemical change. You can understand this with a simple example actually. For example, in a simple beaker, just take ice. You have to take 250 gram of ice, and when you heat that 250 gram of ice, then in the beaker what you will get, it will change into water. Now when you weigh this water in the beaker, then you will see that the weight of the water is exactly 250 gram. That is before heating. What is the weight of the ice? It is 250 gram, and after heating the weight of the water is also 250 gram. And this means that the physical change of ice into water, that is the ice changes into water, is a physical change. It follows the law of conservation of mass. In a chemical change, we took the example of the physical change. Now in a chemical change, the mass before and after reaction will remain same also, and you can understand this with a reaction. That is, simply we will take a reaction. The copper sulfate, when mixing with sodium hydroxide, it will form copper hydroxide and the sodium sulfate. So simply if you weight the reactant, let us take that the weight of the reactants when you mix them is 60 gram, and after mixing that, when you shake the reactants, after mixing, when you weight this, then you will get the weight of the product is also 60 gram. This means that the mass of the reactant is equal to the mass of the product. Okay, but in some cases the mass of the reactant is not equal to the mass of the product. How you will understand this? That is, we will take the example of the uranium. The mass of the uranium is, atomic mass of the uranium is 235, and when it changes to thorium, which is mass 231, atomic mass is 231, and you will see that the before and after reaction, the mass of the reactant and the product is not same. That means there is a loss of mass 4 units. The lost mass is, how you will calculate? Simply 235 minus 231 is equal to 4. That is, the lost mass is actually 4 units. So what is happening to this lost mass? This lost mass is changes to energy. That means the mass which has been lost in a chemical reaction is changing to energy, and the value for this energy, you will write that E is equal to mc square. That is where m is equal to the mass which is lost and c is the speed of light, which is equal to 3 multiply 10 to the power 8 meter per second. That is the value of the speed of the light that you already know. So now the law of mass is called, the law of mass will be the law of conservation of mass and energy. Okay, so according to this, the mass and energy are interconvertible, but the total sum of the mass and energy during any physical or chemical changes remains constant. In a formal example, the mass is converting to energy and sum of the mass and energy is constant. That is how you can write this. The mass is interconverting or interconvertible to energy, and the sum of the mass and energy is constant. Okay, clear? So now our second law is the law of definite proportion or constant composition. So this law is established by Joseph Proust in 1799, and this law states that a pure chemical compound always contains same elements combined together in the same definite proportion by weight. Understood? Okay, so we will understand this with an example. Let us take an example of the carbon dioxide. You know that the formula of the carbon dioxide is CO2. So in this formula CO2, the carbon has the 12 gram of atomic mass, and for every 12 gram of carbon there is 32 gram of oxygen. We are taking double of oxygen, that is the 32 gram of oxygen we are taking for 12 gram of carbon. So in carbon dioxide, the ratio of the carbon to oxygen is, that is the 12:32. So carbon dioxide is following the law of constant composition. How it is following the law of constant composition? That is, when you simplify the ratio, you will get the answer is 3:8. You know that how you can divide this. And so in this definition, And in this example you will write that we have same elements to form carbon dioxide are carbon and oxygen, and the fixed proportion, what is the fixed proportion we got? That is 3:8. Clear? Okay. So now we will discuss our third law, that is the law of multiple proportions. This law was proposed by Dalton in 1803. So, what it states that when two elements combine to form two or more chemical compounds, the masses of the one of the element which combine with fixed mass of the other bear a simple ratio to one another. How we will understand this definition then? Let us take an example of the sulfur and oxygen. Example for the sulfur and oxygen, you are taking here that the sulfur and oxygen combines to form sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. I'm just simply writing it that way. I'm not balancing the chemical equation here actually. So you will know that the formula of the sulfur dioxide is SO2 and formula of the sulfur trioxide is SO3. That is, when every 32 gram of sulfur combines with 32 gram of oxygen in sulfur dioxide and 48 gram of oxygen in sulfur trioxide. How will you can write this? That is, let us take sulfur. There is only single sulfur in sulfur dioxide and we have 2 oxygen in sulfur dioxide. So it is combining with single sulfur. The atomic mass for the oxygen in this sulfur dioxide is 32 gram, and in the sulfur trioxide we are taking single sulfur and triple of the oxygen. That is, for oxygen in sulfur trioxide we have 48 gram of oxygen. That is actually the mass of the atomic mass of the oxygen in sulfur trioxide, and we have fixed mass of sulfur. What is the mass of the sulfur? That is the 32 gram. That is, this 32 gram of sulfur reacts with 32 gram of oxygen in sulfur dioxide and 48 gram of oxygen in sulfur trioxide, and the ratio of oxygen in both these compounds means that in sulfur dioxide and in sulfur trioxide the ratio is 32:48, and when you will simplify this, that is, you will get the 2:3, which is a simple whole number ratio. That means this holds the law of multiple proportions. Okay, so the fourth law is Gay-Lussac's law of combining volumes. This law is established in 1808 by Gay-Lussac. Gay-Lussac law of combining volumes, it states that under similar conditions of temperature and pressure, whenever gases react together, the volumes of the reactant gases as well as the products, if the products are gases, bear a simple whole number ratio. So consider the example that we have X volume of gas 1 is combining with Y volume of gas 2 and forming Z volume of gas 3. That is, according to Gay-Lussac law, the combining gases volumes in this X ratio Y ratio Z will be a simple whole number ratio. Now, let's see an example on reacting. On reacting what? 1 volume of nitrogen gas with 3 volume of hydrogen gas, we will get the 2 volume of ammonia, that is NH3, the formula of the ammonia. So these volumes bears a simple whole number ratio to one another and to the product also, that is the 1 ratio 3 ratio 2. Hence this reaction follows the law of gaseous volume. Okay, clear? So the last law we have Avogadro's law. In 1811, Avogadro proposed this law, and he states that equal volumes of gases at the same temperature and pressure should contain equal number of molecules. To understand this, let us take the simple example of a piston. If you have seen the piston, that you know that there is a simple cylindrical shape of this piston. It has a nozzle and a piston to apply or to reduce pressure. If we need to fill air inside the piston, what we have to do? We have to pull it upward. We have to pull it upward, and the marking in the syringes will indicate the volume of the air in the syringe. That means you are filling air. What you have to do? You have to pull it upward to fill air in the syringe, and the markings in the syringe will indicate the volume of the air inside the syringe. And we will notice as the amount of air increases, that is, the amount of air increases in the piston moves upward, indicating that increases in the volume of the air in the syringe. Conversely, what will happen? That when air releases from the syringe, that means when you have to release air from the syringe, that what you have to do? You have to push it downward, and you will see that what will happen here? When air releases from the syringe, the piston will move downward, and indicating that the volume of the air decreases as the amount of air decreases inside the syringe. So this indicates that there is a direct relation between the amount of air and the volume of the air. That means the amount of air is directly proportional to the volume of air. I will find that when you are increasing the air in the syringe, you will see that the volume of the air inside the syringe is increasing, and when you have to release the air from the syringe, you have to push it downward, and the air will release out from the syringe, and there is direct relation in the amount of the air and the volume of the air. So this relation is known as the Avogadro law. And you will state that no number of particles or molecules are directly proportional to the volume of the gas. So this is our last law of combining laws of chemical combination, that is the Avogadro law. So I hope that you have understood the concept that the laws of combination of elements, and if you have any query then you can call me up on my number. Okay, thank you.